Great, and we're going to move on to the program. We're going to stay in Sweden, and we'll be joined by Garrett Ainsworth. He is president and CEO of District Metals.
Hey, Kai, how you doing? We put out our first three drill holes from our maiden drill program at the polymetallic Tom Tebow project located in the Bergslagen. We've put out a bunch more drill assays since then, and also we've done 2 acquisitions in the Bergslagen district. So lots to talk about. And,
fantastic. Let's dive right in.
Yeah, I'll bring up the presentation. So right now we're sitting with 4 high-grade polymetallic projects in the Bergslagen district of Sweden, 2 of which we've just picked up in the month of July. And our flagship project is the Tom Tebow project that we picked up in June of 2020. And we're an explorer and developer in the Bergslagen. Ooh. So just a cautionary statement. You can find information on this on the website. I'm just going to switch out and redo that. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I'm really proud of the team that we've put together for District Metals, from the management board and the advisory group. We cover the full spectrum of skill set required to advance a project successfully. From exploration, discovery, development, and mining, legal, capital markets. We have the full team. I'm really happy with everyone that's backing us going forward here. With share structure, I mean, this has been something that's been very dear to us since the beginning. It's a crucial component of being successful with any project. We're very lucky to have 10 large funds that have come into District Metals fairly early on. We've got a market cap of about 20 million right now. And I should mention that about 2 months ago, I purchased about 750,000 shares at 30 cents through a stock option exercise, not selling any of those, no plans to. But I've got a total holding myself of over 2.5 million shares in District, so it really speaks to my belief in where we're going with District Metals. So when we first picked up the Tom Tebow project last year in June, I was asked quite often, why did you select this area? And it's quite simple. This is where you come to find elephant-sized polymetallic deposits. And you can see from our projects, Tom Tebow, it's right in between the Falun mine, Garfenberg mine. And in terms of polymetallic VMS, you're doing really well if you have a 5 million ton deposit. Well, these are gigantic. So Falun is 6 times that almost that it was produced. Garfenberg, when you add up all those production reserves, resource numbers, these are very, very large, high tonnage. And they're mined very economically at depth because of the competent rock and whatnot. So Garfenberg is run by Boliden, and Zinkgruvan, again, another very large. Zinkgruvan's more on the SEDEX style, but that's run by Lundin Mining. And it's very, very big revenue earner for them. Something that a lot of people don't quite know is that with the Garfenberg mine, almost 50% of the revenue there comes from precious metals. That's a very important component and not necessarily the case in other VMS type districts. Falun, for instance, was very gold rich, but the 2020 profile at Garfenberg, Boliden mined out 3 million tons, and it can get kind of confusing to look at all the grades and try to figure out if that's good or not. Well, another way to break it down, and a very important way to do it, is just the value of the rock per ton. So that 3 million tons, that breaks out to about $240 per ton, and their OPEX at Garfenberg is about $43 per ton. So they're clearing out nicely at Garfenberg and also Zinkgruvan. So the Tom Tebow property, like zooming in here, it's the red highlighted area. It's 5,100 hectares, good size, covers the same geology, mineralization structure that you see at Falun and Garfenberg. The drilling that we completed in June of this year is right down by the Tom Tebow mine area. So we've got numerous, historic mines, mineral occurrences. They showed, early on, we saw that mineralization was open at the 200-meter level. Our drilling at Tom Tebow, at the Tom Tebow mine area, has shown that that remains true. And that's very important because at Garfenberg, they're mining down at the 1400 meter level and they have resources down at the 1600 meter level. So there's a huge window of opportunity there vertically that has been untested at Tom Tebow. And that's one of the steps that we'll be taking in the next phase of drilling that we're going to be starting in October. In terms of analogies, you don't get better than having Garfenberg 25 kilometers away. Like I mentioned, it's one of the largest polymetallic mines around, and it's run very efficient. So, but a lot of people don't quite realize it almost shut down in the 1990s. So our technical advisor, Rodney Allen, led the team that made some significant blind discoveries at Garfenberg. And again, took it from near closure to being a tier 1 asset for Garfenberg. And what he's been seeing in our recent drilling has been very, very good in terms of what Garfenberg is. So it's exciting times ahead. And then to put conceptually, the size here of what we're dealing with in long section, you could take Garfenberg and copy and paste it about 3 or 4 times across the Tom Tebow property. You can see the historic Tom Tebow mine. It goes down to about the 200 meter level. Same with Lovaas, open in all directions, and it really does look like it's just scratching the surface of hopefully something that's much larger at depth. So one of the guides that we had for this first pass drill program at the historic Tom Tebow mine was the historic drilling. You can see down in the southern part, there's 2 pits. The thick blue line is the exploration drift. And then there's all sorts of historical drilling coming off of that. So in late May, that's when we were on Soar Financial last. We reported on holes 1 to 3. I've broken it out now into the different zones. Oscar's Groovin is a very exciting zone. We're showing the same style of mineralization that you find at Garfenberg. And I mean, 12.5 meters of 150 grams per ton silver and all the other metals. It's really good. I can't wait to come back here and drill down dip of these mineralized intercepts. We also reported subsequently on the Steffenberg zone. This is the hinge of the system where it folds over. And I mean, hole 1 was a barn burner. It was about 8.2 meters to break it down, $500 per ton rock. So, I mean, twice of what the value of the rock was that they mined at Garfenberg last year. So very significant intercept. A lot of the other intercepts were, very high quality as well. And we'll be looking forward to drilling down dip of those based on the downhole EM surveys that we're doing and the whole rock geochemistry. And then going down to the feeder zone, the copper gold feeder zone at Groovin. We had a number of good intercepts for copper, hole 13, 8 meters of about 3.4% copper equivalent. Hole 16 was about 17 meters of about 1.4% copper equivalent. That one's wide open. And we actually did a follow-up hole that we'll be reporting on before the end of the month. We have holes 17 through 22 that are still coming. So the first step we did at Tom Tebow, because there'd be no modern exploration, was to fly it with airborne magnetics and EM survey. And we picked up exactly what we were hoping for, a bunch of these magnetic high anomalies, one associated with Tom Tebow, and then a linear track of them going to the northeast, and then also some down in the southwest of the mine trend. And this has never been drilled before. And it's very important because these magnetic highs are what's associated with mineralization at Garfenberg and also at Falun. And it's always important, though, when you have geophysical anomaly to try to match it up with other anomalies or geochemical anomalies as well. And that's exactly what we've done. So a kilometer away from the Tom Tebow mine, we've got this northeast gravity high target that's associated with the magnetic highs and EM anomalies. It's got an exploration target of about 34 million tons of high density material. Hopefully that's associated with polymetallic sulfides. It could also be mafic intrusive or iron sulfides, but I like the odds here considering it's a long trend from the historic Tom Tebow mine. Also, we found some good gravity high targets down the southwest associated with magnetic highs and EM anomalies as well. So it's pretty straightforward. The next steps at Tom Tebow, we've got 6 more holes to release before the end of the month. We've already started permitting for 5,000 meter drill program at Tom Tebow, a minimum 5,000, and then we're fully funded for that to start. So that's pretty much where we're going there with the Grooveberger property. That's one of our newest acquisitions that we've done. It's quite a large land package at 5,300 hectares. There was some test mining done in the 1980s that showed good grades, similar to what you see at Garfenberg. It's a good litmus test there. And what really caught our eyes is the drill intercepts, historical drill intercepts that are wide open. So from the south zone, I mean, 6 meters of 129 gram per ton silver, and then all the other base metals. That's a really good starting point. And the north zone is quite extensive. 550 meter strike length. It's being drilled down to 160 meters depth. It's wide open. And so, I mean, coming in here again, we'll do an airborne magnetic and EM survey, and follow the same track that we've done and been successful with at Tom Tebow. The second property acquisition that we did is Esparzo. This is 25 kilometers north of our Tom Tebow project. Again, it's got all the same attributes that you see with Falun and Garfenberg. There's been some pretty substantial historical mining, over 1 million tons of grades that are higher than what you see at Garfenberg have been pulled out from the 1800s up until 1989. And then last work that was done would have been about 2017. Boliden owned the claims from 2009 to 2019. So after the 10-year license expires, you have to submit quite a comprehensive report. And Boliden's exploration team in the Bergslagen fell apart in 2017. So it looks like they weren't in a position to submit that type of a report. And then EMX came in aggressively and scooped it up. And then we did a deal with EMX in July to grab this property. So very excited for what next steps we take on this one as well. So I think that's pretty much covering off, in a very quick manner, what we've been up to the last few months, Kai. So yeah, happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, we don't have to go through the references and technical notes. So
that's
no, with the project acquisitions, run us a bit through your mindset. Like, why did you acquire them, and also what do you need? Like, what's the business model? Like, you have Tom Tebow. It looked like in a center. Is like, are you building a hub and spoke model there? Like, what's the thinking behind the acquisition?
Not so much a hub and spoke model, because the targets here are very large and stand alone. 10 million tons in the Bergslagen at grades that are similar to Garfenberg will get you a standalone operation. And a lot of that is because the infrastructure is so good there. So it's basically just more opportunities for us to make a world-class discovery in a district that's known for world-class discoveries. And it all fits in nicely that they're close together. So logistically, when we're drilling, we can move the drill rig around from each property quite easily. And also just the amount that we've learned in the last year and a half since being in the Bergslagen, it's just really, why would we go anywhere else?
No, that makes sense. What kind of, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. I was just going to ask you, what kind of minimum grades would you need for trucking, let's say, to Tom Tebow from the new acquisitions? I don't even dare pronounce them.
It's that's tough. It's on a project per project basis, but I think there's some really good examples with what you see. They're pulling out of Garfenberg and Zinkgruvan, and there's also a couple other smaller mines, and they work very well in that region. So
fantastic. Last question: timeline on permits. What do you expect? When do you get them? When do you expect to receive them?
Yes, so we actually submitted our permit application in June to get ahead of the ball, and so I would expect it in September, and then we'll be ready to drill early October.
Excellent. Garrett, thank you so much for joining us. We do have to move on. We have one last company presentation.